Acing your WAEC and NECO examinations has been made easy by the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education with the Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO Candidates television program. Join seasoned teachers as they take you through these core subjects, targeting the exact syllabus of WAEC and NECO. Watch Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates through these social media platforms to access more educational content and give their feedback. Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. Pass your examinations with flying colors.
Good day, esteemed viewers. Trust you are doing good today. You are welcome to Eko Learners Support for WAEC and NECO candidates. I am Oyeno Emmanuel Shion. I will be teaching you history. Today, we will be looking at Nationalism and Nationalist movement in Nigeria. Nationalism and Nationalist movement in Nigeria. At the end of today's class, students will 1. Explain the concept of nationalism and nationalist movements. Students will highlight the activities of foremost nationalists in Nigeria. 3. Students will identify the various forms of nationalism in Nigeria. Students will examine the reasons and effects of the growth of nationalism and nationalist movements in Nigeria. Lastly, students will identify the various strategies that were adopted by the Nigerian nationalists. To start with, what is nationalism and what is nationalist movement? Nationalism is a political ideology that emphasizes the interest, culture, and identity of a particular nation or group of people. A political ideology that emphasizes the interest, the loyalty, the culture, and identity of a particular nation or group of people. It promotes the idea that a nation's people share common traits such as language, culture, ethnicity, or history, and that they should govern themselves or work together for self-determination. Nationalism often seeks to create or maintain a sovereign nation-state for a specific group, reinforcing a sense of unity, pride, and harmony in the nation's unique identity. So nationalism has to do with having a sense of unity, sense of pride as a nation. And also it has to do with having a self-determination towards self-rule. Nationalist movements. Nationalist movements are organized efforts by people or group of people to achieve national self-determination, independence, or autonomy. These movements typically arise in response to foreign rule. In the context of Nigeria, during the colonial rule, it got to a point whereby nationalism and nationalist movement began to occur. And the main target or the main purpose for the nationalist movement is the emergence of self self-determination, self-rule. In order to gain independence from the foreign rule. The foremost nationalists in Nigeria, yes, we have other nationalists, but these 6 are foremost who strived towards the attainment of Nigeria's independence. We have Abat Macaulay, which is known as the father of Nigerian nationalism, and was known to have founded the NNDP in 1923. We have the Nnamdi Azikiwe, also, which was he was a prominent nationalist that fought hard towards the attainment of Nigeria's independence. We have Obafemi Awolowo, Anthony Enahoro, and Anthony Enahoro was significant because he was the one who raised the motion in the House of Assembly calling for self-rule. Was the one who moved the motion that Nigerians would get independence. Person of Anthony Enahoro. We have Funmilayo Ransome-Kuti. Not only men, we have women as well who fought for Nigerian independence, who also contributed a quota towards the struggle for women's rights and social justice in Nigeria. Abubakar Tafawa Balewa as well, Aminu Kano, Samuel Ladoke Akintola, and many more. These are nationalists who fought for the independence and attainment of Nigeria's independence. Forms of nationalism in Nigeria. Number 1, ethnic nationalism. This form of nationalism is centered around identity. It's centered around interest of specific ethnic group. It emphasizes cultural, historical, and social uniqueness of a particular ethnic group within Nigeria. For example, an example is some ethnic groups such as the AG, the Action Group, who focused more on the interest of the western region of Nigeria, and among others. Regional nationalism. It focuses on the interests and aspirations of specific geographical region within Nigeria. Pan-Nigerian nationalism. It seeks to unify all ethnic groups, all ethnic and regional groups in Nigeria into a single cohesive national identity. And we have the anti-colonial nationalism, which arose in opposition to the colonial rule and ensure that Nigeria attained her independence from the British. Reasons for the growth of nationalism and nationalist movements in Nigeria. Number 1 is economic exploitation. Yes. During the colonial rule, there were lots of exploitation. The raw materials and resources of Nigeria were exploited by the colonial masters. So in order to put an end to this, it made some group of people to bring about or began the nationalist movement in order to put an end to the exploitation and to have a self-rule. 2, increased literacy. At some point, the introduction of Western education really helped. It got to a point whereby a significant number of Nigerians were educated. And one of the features of the colonial rule was the exclusion of the educated elites. So these educated elites that were excluded from the colonial rule brought about the rise of nationalism in Nigeria. Also, political exclusion. Nigerians were systematically excluded from political power. Yes. It was lately, towards the end of the colonial rule, that we started having few numbers of Nigerians that were included in the high political position. But even at that, the final decision still lies on the colonizers. Political parties and movements got to a point, just like the one created by Albert Macaulay, it got to a point in the 1920s, we started having the establishment and the formation of political parties and political movements. Then also, post-war economic condition. The economic impact of the World War. After the two world wars, even the soldiers, the Nigerian soldiers that were deployed for the war, those that came back, they have gathered lots of experience. And there were some economic impacts that brought about the rise, among other reasons. Effects. What are the effects of nationalism in Nigeria? Number one, achievement of independence, yes. That was actually the main reason for the rise, and it was achieved. Nigeria attained and gained her independence on October 1st, 1960. Two, advocacy for rights. Nationalist movement laid the groundwork for advocacy of social justice and human rights. This led to greater attention to issues such as gender equality, among others. Empowerment of women, yes. Figures like Funmilayo Ransome Kuti ensured and fought for the rights of women and advocacy for women. Promoting unity. The nationalism brought about national unity. Federal structure, it also brought about the desire for regional autonomy. Strategies adopted by the nationalist movement. Number one, media campaigns. We have some authors, they made use of pamphlets, posters, in order to campaign, in order to support the nationalist movement. For example, Nnamdi Azikiwe's West African pilot, he was instrumental in rallying public support. Petitions and proposals. There were petitions that were written against the colonial masters, and as well as proposals. Also, peaceful protests. Some protests took place. One of it is the women tax revolt that took place, the Aba women riot, among others. Global support. Nigeria received support from international organizations, from some international countries towards the nationalist movement. And also, formation of political parties. When political parties began to form, it brought about the need for people to participate, the need for Nigerians to participate in the political affairs of their country. Practice question. List any three nationalists in Nigeria from 1922 to 1960. State any 4 factors that led to the formation of nationalist movements in Nigeria. This is a wide question. Also about 13 and many more. We have mentioned about Macaulay, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Obafemi Awolowo, Tafawa Balewa, Ahmadu Bello, Sapara Williams, and many more. Also, the need and the factors that led to the formation of the nationalism and nationalist movement, the desire for self-government, protest against European culture, discrimination among Nigerians, against Nigerians, exploitation of our economy, excessive taxations, the role played by the press, with the role played by the political parties, among others. Here's the end of today's class.
Eko Learners Support, a support program of the Lagos State Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education for WAEC and NECO candidates.
If you have any suggestion or feedback, kindly comment on any of our social media handle displayed on the screen. Thank you for watching.